You don't play with fire by accident, but you can play with awakening and not even realize you lit the match. That's when spiritual awakening becomes an open wound. Like something inside you had fragmented and was finally letting the light in. That's when you've crossed the Rubicon. You thought you were exploring, raising your vibration, watching Carl Jung videos, reading a little Ram Dass, and partaking in astrology on TikTok. Maybe you got into psychedelics, maybe some breath work, or you had a strange dream and felt something ancient stir in your chest. And it felt good at first, powerful, like something inside you had cracked open and was finally letting the light in. But here's the part no one puts on social media. What comes through that crack isn't just light. It's also dark. It's your shadow, the trauma you hide, the truths you buried, the self you left behind. The pain that was patient enough to wait for you to become conscious, sacred. And if you don't treat it like that, like a lifestyle or an accessory, you're not just risking failure. You're risking real harm to yourself. You've started something dangerous by unleashing your essence in earnest, and it can't be returned from whence it sprouted. First of all, your mind can collapse under unprocessed revelation. You open your psyche like a door. But what if the floor underneath isn't strong? Too many people invite awakening before they've stabilized the ego. They seek transcendence before integration. They skip over trauma, grief, and guilt, and go straight for higher self-talk, hoping it'll fix what they're too afraid to face. It doesn't work that way. Instead, they get flooded. Symbols and synchronicities start to appear, but they don't make meaning. They create paranoia. Reality begins to bend, and not in a good way. Mental breakdowns, depersonalization, spiritual psychosis, all of it can arise when someone opens a gate in their consciousness with no map to return. The psyche is ancient and layered. If you dive too deep too fast, you don't find wisdom. You drown in your own unconscious mind. Secondly, the body will bear what the spirit can't integrate. Here's something they don't teach in yoga class. When you suppress spiritual tension, the body absorbs it. If your awakening begins, but you resist it, avoid it, or perform it instead of living it, your body pays the price. Symptoms appear with no medical explanation. Exhaustion, insomnia, autoimmune flare-ups, nervous system dysfunction, pain that moves around, chest tightness with no cause. It's not bad energy. It's the cost of trying to stay the same while your soul demands change. And if you chase the next tool, next healer, next modality, without ever grounding and integrating, you stay stuck in the trauma of almost transforming. Never quite healed, always seeking, always fragmented. The answers aren't beyond you, they're within your world of creation. Thirdly, the soul will retreat from a dishonest journey. The spirit doesn't scream, it doesn't fight, it just quietly leaves when the space becomes too performative, too egoic, or too commercialized. You can chant every mantra. You can learn the words. You can wear the clothes. You can post the quotes. But if your heart isn't in it, if your motives are aesthetic, if you use awakening as a brand, or as an escape from real responsibility, then the soul will not stay. This is when people feel numb during meditation, or spiritually burnt out. They mistake the silence for peace, but it's not peace, it's absence. The divine doesn't play pretend. It either transforms or leaves you to your own illusions. Balance inner work with outer action. Fourthly, spiritual bypassing becomes emotional rot. Avoid self-judgment when reality remains messy. You cannot become light by avoiding the dark. But that's what most people try to do. Instead of sitting with their grief, they jump to the saying, "Everything happens for a reason." Instead of exploring their rage, they say, "Just love and light." Instead of apologizing, they smudge a room and pretend the energy is cleared. This is not awakening. It's avoidance dressed up in spiritual language. True transformation lies in weaving spiritual insights into daily habits. And it causes damage to your relationships. So seek support. Don't skip mental health checkups, therapy, or peer support when you hit turbulence. Awakening harms your nervous system when an adrenaline rush with psychedelics, ecstatic dance, or extreme fasting becomes your next high. Protect your inner child. Don't project your ideals onto others, then expect them to conform to your brand of enlightenment. A spiritual superiority complex can't be wished away, so don't elevate yourself above anyone not awakened yet. Emotional rot never stays beneath the surface. It rears its ugly head passive-aggressively or violently. What's repressed always self-destructs. Spiritual bypassing doesn't make you evolved. It makes you emotionally dishonest and unstable. Fifthly, isolation, confusion, and crisis follow the half-awakened. Here's a truth most won't admit. Awakening can ruin your life if you don't finish what you start. People lose friendships because their old world doesn't understand them. They feel detached from jobs, relationships, habits, without knowing what comes next. This limbo becomes unbearable. Some try to go back to sleep. Others spiral. You can end up isolated, disillusioned, suspicious, hoping to go back to normal while also resenting the world you outgrew. This is not enlightenment. It's stagnation in the middle of a rebirth. The cocoon ripped open too soon and now you can't fly, but you also can't crawl. This is why so many people fall into cults or become obsessed with conspiracy or claim to be chosen. They mistake spiritual fragmentation for insight. They were mid-process, got scared, and instead of continuing through the fire, they built altars inside their confusion and called it home. Sixthly, false awakening leads to ego inflation. The most dangerous spiritual injury is believing you've arrived. You had a few visions, a few powerful meditations, maybe a psychedelic trip that felt cosmic, and now you think you know the truth, that you're awake and everyone else is blind. This is ego inflation, the exact opposite of awakening. Carl Jung warned about this constantly. When the ego identifies with the archetype of the divine, you become possessed by it. Instead of being humbled by awakening, you weaponize it. You believe you're the exception, the savior, the special one. But the bigger the inflation, the harder the collapse. And if you build a life on that fantasy, when it breaks, you break with it. What's the way through? Take it seriously. If awakening is knocking at your door, don't answer it half-dressed and distracted. Sit down, listen, prepare. Ground yourself in psychological work before you dive into mystical work. Learn from elders and traditions who've walked the path before you. This isn't new. Respect the pace of your process. Don't rush. Don't skip steps. Tell the truth about your motives, your fears, your confusion. Get help, real help, from people who don't sell certainty, but walk with integrity. Lastly, be forewarned. Awakening isn't a shortcut. It's a fire. It will burn through your ego. It will burn through your excuses. It will burn through anything you're not willing to face. And if you turn it into an identity instead of a practice, it will consume you. But if you walk it with reverence, step by step with your feet on the ground and your heart open, then yes, you'll survive the fire, and you'll become something real.